Stone Stitcher. Welcome. Today is September 1st, 2025. I can't believe summer's over already. I know on the calendar it's not over yet, but it's over for us, and the weather says it's over, although we have a couple of days here that should be pretty nice. But okay, so cross stitch. Today I have 6-7 projects. I'm going to show you what the wheel spun this past week, but then I'm going to assess how the wheel did. Did it get progress on the pieces I wanted to see the most progress on? And then we'll get into moving forward, what my plans are for September. So, and then I have one other start that's not really cross stitch. I'll show you, and then you guys let me know if you want to see that kind of content or not, and we'll move forward on that. Okay, first up, Only the Lonely was spun on Sunday. So I had mentioned, this is Only the Lonely. The artwork is by Adrian Borda. It's charted by UnconventionalXStitch. And here's where I am. And the colors are better today. I found out that my new camera has filters, and for whatever reason, last time it was on a weird filter. So I just have to remember to check that the filters are off, and then I can kind of get the colors. So today you can see how bright the colors are. I had said I was going to move over to this page and start working on finishing the trunk of the tree. So that's what I did. And here's where it was before. So this week it was at 50.9%. It's now at 54.02%. So here's where it was, if I didn't put that in yet. And now, here's where it was on August 1st. It was at 49.8%. And as I said, it's currently now at 54.02%. So, that was good. Trying to figure out where to put things. Okay, so the next one that was spun this week was Brothers. This is Brothers. The artwork is by Enys Guerrero. It is charted by Thread Geeks. I always want to say Geek Threads. I don't know why. Oh, hold on. Only the Lonely is stitched on an 18 count Aida that I got from Amazon. Okay, Brothers. Enys Guerrero, charted by Geek Threads. No, Thread Geeks. I don't know why I do that. Okay, this one, oh boy, I've been all over the place on this one. So I wanted to finish his face. So I was picking colors in his face, but those colors are in his hair and the feathers. They're also in his back. So I still have a couple stitches to finish in his face, but those peachy, creamy colors I got bored with. So I came over here, and starting from about here down, I started color completing a couple of colors in the horse, just to get some dark colors in there. So the only thing I'd had in the horse was black, so you can start to see browns and stuff coming in there. So here's where it was last week. And last week it was at 71.72%. Today it's at 76.51%. And here's where it was on August 1st. And it was only at 65.93%. This I'm doing on an 18 count Jade by Picture This Plus. So, oh, I didn't say, Only the Lonely was spun for 4 days. Brothers was spun and it got 6 days this month. It's the only one that got 6 days. No, it's not. So, Project C's got 4, they got 6. Okay, this next one that was spun was Feasting Frenzy. That was spun on Thursday. And this is Feasting Frenzy. This is Dimensions. This was a gift. And again, thank you to the person who gifted it to me. I didn't ask if I could share her name. And I finished it. So, let me see if I can do this without the glare. Yeah. So I had this whole section to finish. And then I had all the back stitch to finish. This is really glary. There, if I tip it that way. You lose some of the vibrancy of the colors, but at least you don't get much glare. I feel washed out with this filter. That's so weird. So here's where it was. Oh, if I pull it back, it's better. So here's where it was last time you saw it. And I don't have any percentages because this is a paper chart. And here's where it was August 1st. So my wheel really liked this project. I'm so happy with this. So I was stitching this with Elisa from eCrafting in Colorado, and she's stitching it with someone else. I'm sorry, I don't remember who. Now, I have all of my projects. I don't have that many. So I have 17 right now, and I went and put them on magnets. So you can see they're just a little magnet. And I have these all lined up and where I can see them in my stitching area. Whenever I have an itch for a new start, I look over at those and go, oh wow, I could work on that, or oh no, that needs progress, or wow, I have a lot of magnets, I don't need to start anything. For me, this helps limit what I start, and so now that this is finished, this can go away. So, okay, so we finished all of the projects that were spun during the week, and 3 of the, well, those were all the projects. So all of those I would like to finish by this year. So only got 4 days this month. Feasting Frenzy and Brothers got 6. Everything else for my wheel got 4 days. But it was time for Saturday, and it was time to spend something other than those 5 projects that I'm trying to get finished or a lot of progress on. And the one that I spun is by Starlight. This is what it's supposed to look like. Excuse me. And I cropped it to this. So I literally took precisely half the project off. So 50% was removed. That left me with 61,800 stitches. So I know that number, and so when I tell you my percentage, the percentage for this is the actual percentage of the stitches I'm going to complete. This is artwork by Deanna Bach Art. It's charted by UnconventionalXStitch. And here's where I am. Oh, this camera keeps trying to adjust. Okay, so that's where it is. I filled in some of the missing stitches up here, and then I came down here. This is the first arm of the octopus. So let's see if I can, there we go, color's better. Here's where it was before. So you can see I just kind of brought that down. I still have some missing stitches up at the top, but I was really happy with this. So this one now is at 7.16%. And as I said, that's the actual for what I'm stitching. Really happy that that came out. Okay, so then Sunday, yesterday, it was the last day of August, and I spun my wheel, and it gave me Night Fairy, and I went, nope, I don't want another paper chart today. So I decided to pick a project that I've been really itching to stitch on. I've really missed working on it. It's super easy to stitch. It's one of the easiest projects I've ever stitched that is a full coverage. And that is Death in the Garden. This is artwork by Megan Majewski, charted by UnconventionalXStitch. And you know what? I think I'm forgetting to tell you some of the fabrics. So those will all be down in the description box. I'm sorry. The Feasting Frenzy was an 18 count. I dyed myself. And by Starlight is an 18 count Zweigart. Okay, this is on an 18 count Very Light Pewter by Zweigart. It's one of their standard colors. Now, if I had followed the rules that I set for myself, I would have come up here and finished this page. Oh, look at those colors. Those are right. I would have finished this page. But I wanted to see her face and I wanted to see her eye. So I started with her skin tone here. How can I do that so you can see it better? Oh, this phone is going to take some practice. Anyway, there we go. So I did some of her skin tone, and then all of this here is all new. And you know, for this one, if I pull it back, you get a better look. Okay, so here's where it was before, and I forgot to write down the percentage. it was before, but it's now at 24.32%. And working on this yesterday, I realized how much I missed it. So this is going to stay out for a while. This is kind of plans. And so this you will see again next time because I just want to work on it for a while. So that was my Sunday, and that finished Arbitrary August. But we need to recap a couple more pieces. So Night Fairy was another one on my wheel. This was spun for 4 days, and this is where it is now. And yeah, I think those, you know, if I don't get close to the camera, I think it looks better. So I finished all the back stitch up at the top this month, and I worked down here, and I worked over here. So here's where it was. Here's where it was at the beginning of the month. And yeah, that's the progress 4 days got me on this one. This is by Lanarte, and it is no longer available. I purchased my copy as a pamphlet from Amazon, and I happened to look the other day, and they don't carry it, but there are sellers who are selling it secondhand. So that's that. Oh, this is on a 16 count unnamed ivory Aida. So yeah, there we go. And finally, and I didn't pull this one out because there's not enough room on the screen for the before and afters. So those are the projects: Only the Lonely, Brothers, Feasting Frenzy, Night Fairy. I want to finish this year. The last one that was on my wheel is Strength, and I want to finish her next year. This is Strength. So I'm trying to get as much done this year on her as possible so that I'm not having to focus almost solely on her next year. So this is artwork by Nicolee Payne, charted by UnconventionalXStitch, and it is on a 18 count Very Light Pewter, same as Death in the Garden. So here's the before, and here's the after. And this started at 40.32%, and it's now at 42.10%. And again, that got 4 days. So those were now I'm not going to recap the Saturday because those projects were just the projects that I used to break up the monotony. So those weren't the ones that I had big goals on for this month. So moving forward, well, recap. My wheel really liked my non-full coverage, and it liked my project that I'm removing the background. But I'm really happy with how that worked out. I gravitate towards any project that is in Pattern Keeper. So my full coverage that is in Pattern Keeper. There are a few that are in Pattern Keeper that are not full, that work in Pattern Keeper that I have that are not full coverage. They're not started yet. But those ones I don't gravitate to as much. So it's full coverage and in Pattern Keeper. So I'm glad that I got as much as I did on Feasting Frenzy and Night Fairy, because those ones I kind of have to remind myself to pull out and work on. So yeah, that means I now have Feasting Frenzy done, and I just have one non-full coverage that I want to finish this year, and I got a good chunk started on it. So I was happy with what the wheel did overall. I don't want to use a wheel this month. So now we're going to get into plans. And yeah, I want more flexibility. So football starts this week. It starts on Thursday. They've decided to bombard us with a lot of games right off the bat this week. So there'll be football on Thursday, on Friday, on Sunday, and then on Monday. And usually it's just Sunday, Monday, Thursday, but they've added an extra day in there. So I have two projects, and I didn't pull them, but you've seen them. I will do a before and after if I work on them. The first one is Life Support, and this is Life Support. Artwork is by Giuseppe Maccone. It is charted by Stitching Moon Designs. I just wanted to say Megan and forget her shop name, but Megan. I'm not sure, I didn't double check if she's still on vacation on her shop, but keep an eye out if you like her stuff. You know, just have a reminder show up when she comes back. This one, I am currently just working on all the 310, all the black. And so that's a real easy one. I kind of outline an area and then just fill it in. And so I really just, I can look at the TV. Every now and then I have to glance down to make sure the needle's where I need it to go to through the hole. But I can, it's on a 20 count Aida, so I can kind of feel where the hole is. I don't have to look a lot. And the other one that I thought I could bring out for football stitching would be Masquerade. This is Masquerade. The artwork is by Christopher Lavelle, and it is charted by UnconventionalXStitch. Now, that one has got confetti hell in it, but I'm currently working just the 939. So to highlight the 939 on Pattern Keeper and just go through, it's not hard to do. So that would be another one that if I'm not in the mood for life support, especially like this weekend having, 4 out of the 5 days having football games, and I tend to watch more football in the beginning of the season so I can see who the good teams are, which ones are real competitive, and then as the season moves on, I don't watch those games where non-competitive teams are in it. So, 4 out of the 5 days, I may not want to work solely on, say, life support. So I have an option. Now, Death in the Garden, that's one that because it's so easy to stitch, I could do that, but I would have to have my floss with me because there are color changes. I need to get a minimum of 4 days in each month on strength to get that to where I want it to finish it next year. So you'll probably at some point see that one. I'm looking at my notes here. I'm going to continue on Death in the Garden right now because if you talk about comfort stitching, that is the ultimate comfort stitching. It is easy. It doesn't have a lot of block, but it does have areas where you can put a strand or two in before you need to change. So no confetti. It's just really easy. And yet it's so beautiful. And it's all my colors, right? It's all those blues and teals and, right now I'm working on purples and stuff for her eyes. And then there's that flower that has pinks. But I'm finding I don't mind stitching pinks as long as it's not the whole project. So there'll be that. And then I think I'm going to focus, what time I use for focus stitching, I'm going to focus on Brothers. So Brothers, I am at, let me check my notes, 76.51%. That's roughly because I didn't calculate how much I'm removing the background, and so I'm removing some background as I stitch because it's very complicated. The background has a lot of the same colors as say what's in the man's back. So I don't know until I get down there what I'm going to eliminate. So that's roughly where I feel I'm at. I have about 10,000 stitches left. If I pick 10 days this month where I was just going to curl up and stitch the majority of the day, and not even the majority of the day because it's not that long, but a day where I could get 1,000 stitches in, then that would be perfect to pull out. And if I found 10 days like that, like I said, everything's kind of going into fall. The kids are back in school. They don't need me to babysit anymore. So I should be able to find 10 days where I can easily get 1,000 stitches in. And it doesn't take all day to do that. Yesterday, when I worked on Death in the Garden, I think the first time I picked it up was about 3 in the afternoon. And I didn't work on it solidly. I did other things. And I ended up with 1,200 stitches at the end of the day. So I don't need all day to get 1,000 stitches in. But that's what you're going to see. You're going to see Brothers. You're going to see Death in the Garden. You will see Strength. You'll see my football pieces, whichever ones I work on. And then I want more variety. So that won't take up the full month. And, for example, football stitching, there's going to be one game on in the evening, so it'll just be a couple hours in the evening. I still have time those days to work on something else. Hopefully you'll see more work on Night Fairy, but I want to start pulling out those other projects that I haven't touched in a while. And I sat down and I did I don't know if I can get to it. I can't get to it right now. I sat down and I looked at the 12 projects that I will have going into next year, and what the percentages are currently, and just randomly said, you know what, I'd like to reach this percent. So for Death in the Garden, here we go. Let's just show it to you because it's beautiful. For Death in the Garden, I'm currently at 26%. I would like to reach 30%. This has 148,500 stitches. So to reach 36%, I mean, I've got, about 5,000 stitches to do. I can do that between now and December. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. When I want to switch, I will look at some of those projects that to reach the random percentage that I picked as a round number, that I can, and some of them have like 1,600 stitches to reach that next percent. It was just something I thought I'd like to have a nice round number. So I can look to those. I'm rambling, but basically you will see a few of the ones you've seen today, and hopefully you'll see a lot more of ones you haven't seen in a while. So then I have one last thing that I worked on before we go, and it is not cross stitch. And I started this. This is So Simple Crochet, and I bought this, it doesn't say, there was a sticker on it, so I thought maybe you told me. I bought this secondhand. It's in excellent condition, and I paid with shipping less than $10. This is currently out of print, but if you like it, you can find it sometimes on a secondary market. And I am working on, I can find it real quick here, sorry. You would think, because I've been working on it, that it would want to open right to that spot. Okay, so I am working on this jacket. This is called a zip-up jacket. Very simple name. And it is worked all in one piece. Let me show you another picture. So that's the front, and here's the back. I'm making a few changes. So there's the back. So the entire piece, the body of the piece is done in one piece. So it's all vertical crochet. It's all single stitch, which will make it nice and warm. And then the sleeves and the collar are added later, and that is done horizontally. So I didn't have that. Now that particular colorway is no longer carried, but the called for yarn, they are still available pretty much everywhere. So I will put down the brand of yarn that it calls for if you're interested. But what I had was this. This is actually my least favorite yarn, but brand. This is Red Heart, and I don't like Red Heart. But this one actually doesn't bother me that much. This is called Bitty Stripes, and it is in the colorway Mermaid. And so I have a good start on it. Let's see which end I've got. And I wasn't sure if I was going to like this when I started, because the bitty stripes are not as bitty as I thought they would be. And so here's what I have. And you can see I've already worked the neck, and now I'm up on the shoulder. And I have decided to make mine longer because that came right to the waist, and I really want mine kind of mid-hip. And so, get a hair. So this is what I've been working on. This is how far I've gotten. Now once you get, because this is worked all in one piece, once you've done the shoulder, then when you come up, you will stop at a certain point for the armhole. And this entire piece, the front, the back, everything is all done in one solid piece, which makes it very easy for a beginner. So I'm hoping to have that done, although the yarn I bought as much as I needed, but now I'm extending it, so I've had to place an order for a couple more skeins. But that's my new project. I don't have a lot of crochet on the go. And you'll have to let me know if you're interested in seeing crochet or any other craft I decide to pick up one month. With that, I guess By the way, today's Labor Day, so I hope you have the day off if you work. We have 3 more birthdays this summer. Well, this month for summer. So we've got my oldest son tomorrow turns 41. My youngest turned 38 in July. I don't know where the time goes. And then my oldest 2 grandchildren will be 17 this month. And then I have a break until February. No more birthdays. So yeah, it's time's flying. The kids are doing well. I hope you are. And yeah, tell me if you're doing anything special for September. I kind of played around and thought, what would I like to do? And I literally thought, what about strength? I could do, and I thought, no, I need to finish Brothers, and I need to finish those 3 last projects this year. So I'm not going to focus on strength just because it begins with an S. So tell me what you're doing. Tell me if you want to see more crochet. Tell me what you think of what the wheel spun. And I will see you soon. I will see you. We're going back to the 1st and the 15th. So I'll see you on the 15th. And for now, bye.